British intelligence. Maybe a lot of you are aware that British intelligence created American intelligence. And British intelligence is extremely powerful. Before World War II got started, the British had infiltrated the Nazi spy apparatus so that every German agent that was recruited into the Nazi apparatus that was spying on Britain had to become a double agent. 100% of the German agents spying on Great Britain was a double agent for the British. And anyone who joined those spy cells had to become a double agent, or they got dropped, so they kept the continuity. Through those double agents, they disseminated disinformation to the Germans. If you will study the type of disinformation that they fed through those German agents, you'll get a good idea of the type of disinformation that's being disseminated to you all through double agents. Some of them have been up here as speakers. You may think that disinformation is simply passing a lot of lies. No. Disinformation has to look like the absolute truth, but you slip in a little poison with it. So some of these double agents that the Nazis had received very big decorations by Hitler. In fact, one of these British agents, double agents, received the highest award that Hitler could give him, while at the same time he received the highest award that the British could give him. Kind of interesting, huh? An example of how disinformation works. You give 99% true information, and it's that one little piece of disinformation that's the clincher. So through their spies, they fed the Germans the range of their naval radar, but they understated it. Well, the Germans were excited to get any information on the British radar, their naval radar. When the Bismarck sailed, and you're familiar with the battleship Bismarck, because their intelligence agencies had been fed this shortened range of the naval, British capabilities of their naval radar, that one little piece of disinformation, they made a big mistake, and that mistake cost them the Bismarck. So see, this is how critical it is to understand how a speaker can get up here in front of you. He can give you 95% good information, and it's that 5% poison that he's going to give you that'll be the clincher. It's very hard to understand, for most of us to understand, how disinformation comes about. Now, my co-author back there, she said, "Fritz, you're not going to hold back on these people, are you?" Well, for those of you who don't know me, if you watched that movie Braveheart, when I watched the movie Braveheart, I realized that's me, you know. I've been trying to fight these people, and I've got the same spirit. No, I'm not going to hold back on you people, and I don't think you want me to hold back. You want the whole truth, and I'm going to give you the truth as best as I can. And some of you who don't know may be wondering, who is this Fritz Springmeier character? And so, unfortunately, I need to just take a minute and tell you about myself. Why am I in a position to be up here telling you things that other people can't? I think it goes back to several generations before me. My great-grandfather was a very insightful, wise, intelligent, good man. He lived in Germany before World War I, and he saw, because he was insightful, what was coming. So he escaped in a wagon underneath some sacks of grain across the border into the Netherlands, because he saw that a world war was coming at a time when most of the world was just having a good time. And I think God honored the desires of his heart not to be involved in all the warfare that he saw coming to Europe, because he had 5 sons, and they had a lot of sons, and not one of his sons or grandsons ended up fighting in a war, because their age staggered them so that none of them ever got drafted. That's pretty amazing. And Then if we look at my father he's still alive. He's exceptionally brilliant man. You would call him a genius. And as I grew up, he allowed me to ask 1,000 questions. You know, I sat there and pestered him the whole day asking him questions, and he would answer them. And he never got tired of that. And he tried to take where he was at in life and his capabilities and help the world. And my mother, she was another brilliant person. My mother and father grew up on farms. They were farm people. They were good people. They were not associated with the system at all, nor have any of my relatives, except for one of my dad's cousins in World War II, because he was a genius, worked on the Manhattan Project. But my father has basically been a technocrat for these people that run the world, and he tried to make a career out of going to third world countries and developing their agriculture. And so I got to see some of the movers and shakers of the world, and I also got to see how the people, as David Adair called them, you know, these bureaucrats, how they treated the technocrats that worked underneath them. My father was sent by the U.S. State Department aid program to Nepal when I was a child to develop the Nepalese agriculture. And he painstakingly typed up a big, massive report of their state of affairs all over the country, which he traveled on by foot and by jeep. And when he said, and a plan to improve their agriculture, and they had lost it within 2 weeks. And that was back before there were photocopy machines. So I saw how saw time and time again how the people that are running this world just played around with people like my father, who sincerely wanted to improve this world, this planet. Not growing up in this country and not coming to continental United States until I was 11, have an outsider's view of this country and what's going on. And you know, when you're in a situation, if you can step aside and look at it from a distance, you see it differently. And so there's a lot of things that I see about this country that maybe other people can't, because I have been in 33 countries, and I've been a world traveler, and I see things from a different perspective. Plus, when I was in Nepal, we didn't have television. I spent a lot of my idle time reading Encyclopedia Britannica. And I went to a private school that when I came to the United States, I was 2 years ahead of the kids in public school. So that gives you a little bit of background of why, having been a truth seeker who's devoured books every day and have interviewed countless numbers of people and done all kinds of research, that gives you a little bit of background as why I'm up here telling you some of these things rather than somebody else. What I've seen at this conference so far, there's been a lot of things that pertained to my research on mind control. Our Japanese speaker last night, he talked about blood pressure in the head and how he went out to find out. It was so frustrating for me this last week. I tried repeatedly to get a chance to tell him why he didn't find any information on that when he went out there looking in the medical books. Because, see, I have been spending time researching mind control and what these people are doing. And there's cerebral spinal fluid, as well as the brain, the blood pressure in the brain, and a lot of other things that he's not aware of that have been suppressed by these people. This is information that they have suppressed, and the reason why is because there's only a few men in the world that know these things, and they're using it to enhance their programming abilities, their mind control programming abilities. So there's a flip side to this. Some of the things that I'm going to tell you about today are horrendous, but the flip side of it is that some of the things that the New World Order and the Illuminati know if they were put to good use, would be fantastic. I have repeatedly seen